Hello and welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua. I'm the content director of Whole Foods Magazine. And we have a special episode today. We're going to do something a little bit different. I have two very special guests. We have Michelle Martin. She's the president and COO of Cypress Minerals. And Sam Joshi. He's the COO of Cepham. And they're here to talk to us about something different. So welcome, you guys. I'm excited to dive in. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Maggie.
Usually we're talking about ingredient science, we're talking about the latest research or consumer trends or leadership strategies, but we're going to shift gears today and talk about a really important and also pressing topic. We're going to move beyond some of the everyday issues about our industry, and we're going to talk about something you guys are doing that I'm so impressed by, this global humanitarian campaign, and it's aimed at providing a rescue shelter for child sex abuse survivors. So this is, serious topic, and you guys are on a deadline, so I want to help shine a light on what you guys are doing. So let's start. Michelle, if you could tell us about the Wings of Hope Rescue Home, the work that's being done there, who you're helping, who's being helped, and how.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wings of Hope Rescue Home is in Nairobi, Kenya, and it was started, almost 9 years ago by a couple. It was a husband and wife couple, and the female is the nurse in Nairobi. And she kind of became tagged as the nurse that a lot of abandoned babies were sent to. And so as the police would find these abandoned babies, they would take them to her, and she would try and, help them basically stay alive. And so through that process, she was losing so many babies because by the time they find these abandoned babies and get them to her, they can't survive. And so she thought, how can I get ahead of that? And so she talked to her husband, and over a series of years, the issue got progressively worse. And so they started taking girls that were pregnant into their homes so they could help give them a stable environment until they could give birth and help prevent losing these children. And it just grew. And finally, they got to 6 girls. And so they had to find another place. And so that's when the rescue home started. And so Cypress got involved 7.5 years ago. And so we've been sponsoring and supporting that home. Paul does a lot of philanthropic work. We've been a business for good for 30 years. And so he was in Africa for another project that we support called the Selenium Project. And the person who kind of gets him around Africa and helps translate and do those kinds of things also served at Wings of Hope. And he said, hey, I think you need to see this home. It could really use your help if you can support. And so he met Wings of Hope, and it changed his world. And so we became the sole supporter of them for 7 years until now recently, this new campaign.
So 7 years, you've seen, growth of the program and how the program has impacted people. Can you give maybe an example or just kind of give us an idea of the impact that you've seen over those 7 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So they have grown every year, and they can only grow as fast as they can afford beds and afford to feed, another girl, and then obviously another child with that girl. And so the girls who find their way to Wings of Hope have been impregnated in really dire circumstances. Wings only takes the worst cases because there's super limited space. And so the police pick them up, and then, they contact Wings and see if they have room for these girls. But many times it's incest. And so they've been kicked out of the home, and the family has kind of shunned them. And so they're literally on the streets, and, pregnant on the street and under the age of 17 is not a good combination. And so Wings, if they can, take the girls in, and then the girls live there. They obviously get all the nutrients that they need and allow them to have a pregnancy in a medically supervised environment, typically a hospital. But we have had one girl who had a baby actually at Wings of Hope. But that's not common. That just happened in an emergency situation. But anyway, then the girls stay. Wings of Hope allows them 6 months to learn how a child raises a child and They go through counseling and traumatic, these are all girls who have been traumatized in one way or another. And then they are put in school for a minimum of 2 years. And so Cypress also funds the schooling, the uniforms, because it's not education. Education is not free in Africa, so all that has to be paid for. And then the girls, the babies also, they have preschool there at Wings of Hope. And then as they become school age, then the children go to school too. And we now have girls who have been three that are in university now. And then some that have moved on. Some have gotten married and have more children, and others, one woman works for Kenya Airways. And so they really try and give them a vocation so they can actually become contributing members of society and raise their children and, change that generational cycle.
That's just such amazing work. Sam, I'm interested in how you became involved, and also, sorry, that was very moving. And also, in the issue, you talked about how these efforts kind of align with the humanitarian values of our industry community. So I was wondering if you could expand on that a little.
Absolutely. So we got involved early this year. Michelle, Alon, and myself, we were speaking about women's health and what we could do as a couple organizations together to help throughout the world with women's health. There's multiple issues that we've never addressed, so we started talking about them. And Michelle had mentioned something about Africa and the Selenium Project and how they were working at a rescue home out there. So me having my piqued interest, my family's from Africa, we said, yeah, we're curious. So we decided to learn more, and Michelle and Paul invited Anna to join them on this journey to go see Wings of Hope and spend some time in Africa. And once we were there, it was a no-brainer, right? We saw what we were dealing with. We learned of a problem they had, which was losing their home come September 1st. And to us, it was a no-brainer. Let's jump in, figure out how to do this. Again, not our normal operating thing, right? We're businesses. We try to provide product for pay. And, this totally changed our mindset. We at Cepham have always supported the communities where we operate and work in, which is in India and Uganda, where we have a factory. But in this case, it kind of made it a little bit different. And working with Cypress and partnering with them was, it made it easy, right? We worked well together as a group. So that's kind of how we got into it. And that's where we are today. How it plays into our industry as a whole. We take so much from the world, right? When it comes to natural resources and labor from around the globe. But we do very little to give back. And this is one of those opportunities that affords us, a small amount giving back from what we make and giving it back to a community that really, really needs and deserves it. And seeing the future of generations change, as Michelle said. These babies who are born in this certain situation have much better lives than certain other ones, right? So if we can help kind of start this and jumpstart it, I think it's great for our industry. It speaks to who we are, right? Health and wellness is not just, nutrition, right? And we do focus on that as an industry when it comes to giving, but there's other verticals in that health and wellness umbrella that we should be paying attention to. So that's what we're trying to bring a little light to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you kind of alluded to the threat that all this work is currently under when you mentioned September 1st. Can you tell us what is the situation? And we're on a deadline here. So what is the situation and how can we help?
So when we were out there, Michelle, Alon, Paul, myself, we were there, and they basically said, "Hey, we're going to be losing this home September 1st," and it was almost just a nonchalant comment, right? And of course, the four pressing minds were saying, "Well, hold on a second, what's going on?" And we realized that their landlady intends to sell the property, and she's been intending on selling it for over a year now. She's given them a couple extensions. Unfortunately, they were unable to raise the funds. And when we were there, they told us September 1st is the deadline. They will lose their home. They will have to evacuate, and they will have to move to another location, which is not an easy task with 57 lives in tow. So really, it's a matter of life, shall we say, for these girls and their babies. And we are on a mission to raise $140,000 by August 15th so we can get this home secured for them. Michelle, did I miss anything? Please jump in.
No, you said it all. I mean, and our hope is in the 140,000, there's a part to buy the home and to pay the fees and all the expenses it costs to do that. And then to refurbish the home in the way that it can get it to standards that are healthy and safe. And then to expand and build out the rest of the rooms. There are some rooms, they don't have enough beds to expand the residents. So our hope is that with the 140,000, we can do all three of those phases and get it to full capacity.
So you mentioned August 15th is the deadline. And so some people are watching this close to August 15th and might want to pause right now. We'll have the information for how you can donate and the organization that you're working with to kind of manage the donations so that people can do that.
And I will share, I didn't mean to cut you off, Maggie, but 100% of the donations go to 1,000 Plus, which is the nonprofit arm of that is going to give the grant to Wings of Hope. So it is, you can donate it if you're a U.S. resident and it's paid in the U.S., then you can get that write-off.
All right, good to know. And so last night I saw on LinkedIn an update. So we're recording this on August 8th. So to stress the urgency, I think you were around halfway to your goal yesterday. Is that right?
Yeah. We're almost halfway there. Michelle and I were at MBJ last week. We had a lot of talking to people and got some commitments. So we're waiting on some things to fall through and come in to place. And, we expect hopefully by the 15th, we'll be able to secure at least the facility and do the refurbishments we need. We'll keep we'll keep asking people to keep donating because it's really critical that we get all of the work done that Michelle had mentioned. She alluded to the fact that they're not in full capacity. Yeah. They are able to handle double what they have today. And that's important because they are being asked on a daily and weekly basis to take more lives in and to take care of these girls. So we think it's not just let's help them what they have today, but let's look towards the future and a little bit forward. What can we really do? So,
yeah. So the need will remain, right? For people who say it's past August, you saw this on August 20th. There's still a need to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Erwin was the founder of Wings of Hope. When we were there, told us he gets 20 calls a week for girls that need a place, and I had no idea that the demand was that big. So
yeah.
So that, with that said, like beyond this fundraising, I mean, it sounds like you're reaching a point where staying in the house will be possible, and then it's just doing the additional work to make the house the best it can be, right? Is that fair? So that, like, beyond that, once that emergency situation is dealt with, what's your long-term vision, for the growth and how can we continue to support that down the road?
Yeah, we see, so the nonprofit is called 1,000 Plus, and that stands for the first 1,000 days of a child's life. And then the plus is beyond, right? And so our hope is that, we can do multiple charities. It is not only Wings of Hope that we support. We currently support the Selenium Project, which I also mentioned, which is also in Kenya. And so we donate selenium to AIDS patients who are on antiviral drugs. And gosh, they've been on that for almost 15 years, but they're seeing remarkable results. Some of them are, have no detectable virus in them at this moment. So selenium seems to play a really big role in that. And so we will continue doing that. And then there's a doctor that we also help sponsor, and she's doing some amazing things with children in Uganda. And as some people know, I'm one of the founders of Women in Nutraceuticals, and I'm also on the board with them. And so that's where my heart beats, is empowering women. And so my hope is that we can, start doing other charities as well. and 1,000 plus, it's not only Wings of Hope. Where our hope is to move beyond that and, invite the industry, and we're open to other charities that also need support, because it's not only in Africa. There's much need around the world, probably more now than ever. And so what else can we do? Because health and wellness, as Sam mentioned, is critical, and it's our industry. We work hard to improve people's lives nutritionally, and so let's finish that out and bring health and mental wellness into it as well.
And Maggie, we from 1,000 plus, and Michelle and I, we talk about this, and with the other board members as well. We see 1,000 plus as a vehicle to do good around the world, even if it's local in the U.S. So we invite other members of our industry to come. Let's talk about things that they're passionate about, right? How can we put potential campaigns together for things that are in St. Louis or wherever, even the United States? It's almost democratizing, basically, the aspect of this nonprofit and letting other people be involved, not just us. I think the joy would be amazing if Michelle and I, we could just help guide it and do things with it, but also have other people involved and kind of working on it. So I think it's an invitation for others to join. And we've had some responses from people that they're really interested to be part of this long term. So.
Yeah, I think it's clear you guys are lighting the way to something beautiful. And I think more people are going to want to, especially, we wrote about this in print and online, but hearing you guys talk about it and kind of feeling that energy and the need just makes it so much more. So I thank you guys for joining us and helping to spread the word. And so for people who will have the information to donate, as I said, but for people who want to join the conversation with you about other ways to help, how should they connect?
Yeah, Sam and I are both on LinkedIn. You can always message us through that, or we have an email through 1,000 plus. So it would be Michelle at 1000plus.org, and Sam as well. And then, there are businesses as well. So I'm at Cypress Minerals, Sam is at Cepham. And so there's a number of ways, but also through the website. So it's 1,000 plus, and that is all spelled out, not the numbers, but all letters. So 1000plus.org is the website. Excellent. And it gives a little recap and it shows pictures from when we were there. You can see it for yourself. But, one of the things that was so energizing, you talk about our energy, but when you're there, it's hard not to get very inspired and very motivated. I remember after we left, I looked at Sam and I'm like, what are we going to do about this? Because we got to help fix this. And so immediately, just in the car ride after we left, we're like, we got to put this together.
Yeah. So part of 1,000 plus is not just about giving handouts to people. It's about how do we give people a helping hand so they can rise above and do things on their own eventually. And one of the things, Michelle, the bracelet is kind of the one that just always comes to mind. There it is. And so the girls make these bracelets, and it's an easy outlet to kind of be able to create a shop for them and help them be entrepreneurs in a sense of creating some revenue streams or other crafts and things like that. So part of the next things that we do for Wings of Hope is allowing. We have some brilliant humans in our industry, right? How do we invite them to come up with solutions where the girls at the home can potentially do things to bring some income in and support themselves? I think there was ways in vocational training as well. Could they have a shop, potentially a local shop, right? Where they do local commerce? Because they told us a story, Michelle, about the groceries. Why don't you tell that one? Because, have application there.
Yeah, so the girls rotate through a schedule, and they are responsible to have the money, budget the money, go down, buy the produce or whatever is needed for that day's food, and then cook the food for the rest of the girls. And so, there's 57 people that live at the home right now. And so that's, it's a large amount of people to be responsible for and for feeding. And so they are trying to train the girls how to do that. And while we were there, they're doing other things, as Sam mentioned, like the bracelets, but also they had a very old sewing machine that was broken. And so while we were there, Sam said, well, let's fix it. Like, what are we waiting for? And so he went and worked with someone else, and they got the sewing machine fixed so the girls could continue to do things. So they're constantly looking for ways that the girls would be able to learn the skills that they'll need for, a life of raising a child. And one of the girls is actually in hospitality training right now. So she's the one that actually, when we got there, they hosted a meal for everybody and she made the meal. And so, they're constantly trying to find ways to help the girls become independent and not live a life that they're dependent on others, but how can they actually, raise their children and be responsible for their family.
Yeah, and like Sam was saying, really break that cycle. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I'll share, when we were there, the most remarkable thing to me was that they had these 57 girls, all under the age of 17 and babies. And they all got along. And they've all been traumatized to one degree or another. And it was remarkable to watch them interact. They had joy, they had dreams, they were hopeful. It was unbelievable. And that was the thing that inspired me the most, was that these girls have dreams and they weren't looking for anybody to fix anything. They wanted to go do it themselves. And it took resiliency to a whole new level. It was really unbelievable. And they have excuses to keep them down. And they didn't want any part of that. They wanted to rise. And some of the success stories, which we're hoping to get onto our website, but just those in and of themselves are inspiring. So it was life-changing. It was amazing.
It was incredible to see them. I mean, they were taking care of each other's babies. They were just, it was a true family in all the sense of the words, right? We use that and we kind of throw it around a lot often, but I'll tell you what, it was like team family.
Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and when, like, the girls that go to university, they're children now, but they stay at the home. And so those children are now helping take care of, the other children that are there. And then the girls that are there with their young babies and aren't in university yet are still there taking care of the kids. So it's amazing. It is community to the 10th degree. I mean, it was really remarkable. And what Erwin and his wife can do, to basically raise all of these children is, and they're loving. I'm like, I'd lose my mind by then, but they're loving and kind and patient. It was remarkable. So,
yeah, it sounds like a beautiful thing, and definitely one that I think, a lot of people are going to get behind helping you guys. So thank you for inspiring us and educating us and, letting us know of the issue so that we can do what we can to help. And like you said, like, we all have our different ways to help, right? So if it's sending some money, send some money.
Yeah.
Well, and Sam has mentioned many times, we have such wonderful and intelligent people in our industry. And so maybe it comes down to eventually doing some mentoring as well. Obviously the money is needed right now, but the need is really greater than even money at times. And so offering, a helpful word of encouragement at some point. I mean, there's one girl we WhatsApp, and she's in university. And so I'm just trying to encourage her and give her perspective. I was a single mom, and so I can understand the guilt that comes along with that when you're not there. And, so we can all offer something, even beyond money. So we definitely want to give them a hand up and not just a handout. So we're hoping to do that.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for the work that you're doing. Any final words you want to leave us with? Any message that we missed?
As we had talked about before, this is not our full-time job. We do this because we love people and we want to make a difference and bring good into the world. And so the more people, I really believe that the tide, all boats rise when the tide rises. And so we think we can do that as well. So that's our hope, at least.
You guys are well on your way and definitely inspiring people. So thank you both for joining us. And as I said, we'll have all the information shared so people can easily click through on WholeFoodsMagazine.com and take action. So thank you both.
No, thanks so much for your support.